Today, we are beginning a new series entitled Retirement Grief, Wholeness in the In Between. There's a space no one really talks about. It comes after the last title, after the calendar clears, after you've done what you were supposed to do. It's not crisis, it's not regret. It's the in between. And we're going to get into it. I looked everywhere for it. I saw a little bit about it, but this is very real. And if this isn't for you, someone who has maybe retired recently or retired and went through this season, or you may still be there, or someone that you know who may have recently retired, share this with them because this is going to change their life after this. Welcome back to Purpose Over Paycheck with your host, Dr. Lisa, the Midlife Reinvention Movement for women 50 and above, rising in faith, walking in freedom, living in flow, flourishing in every God designed season. Here is where we shift beliefs, we elevate purpose, and of course, we step boldly into our next chapter. What is this? This is purpose. So I was really disappointed looking up the definition of grief because it only refers to death of an individual. But death is the end of a thing. It could be a relationship, a career, a friendship, a marriage. The end of anything is, it means it's a death, right? Which warrants, but when you think of a death of an individual, we automatically think there's a grieving process, right? And we allow people the space to grieve. But retirement is an end of a particular chapter, a season of life. And we shouldn't be surprised that there's also a grieving period, a grieving season, because something has ended. And something has ended that has existed for a very long time. I personally was shocked because I didn't know there was a such thing as a retirement grief until I experienced it. What I have learned is that, and we're naming it, we're naming without pathologizing. Okay, that's important. I have found that many women are surprised by what shows up after retirement. Not because they missed a job, let's be clear, the job specifically, but because something quieter begins to surface. A tenderness, a sense of disorientation, a feeling that doesn't quite have a name. At least not a name that's clearly talked about publicly so much. I searched social media, I searched books, and I saw things about grief and maybe a touch on retirement grief, but it's so much deeper than that. This isn't failure. Grief, retirement grief isn't failure, and it isn't weakness. Let me repeat that. Retirement grief isn't failure, and it isn't weakness. It's grief, not of loss alone, but of transition. So not only losing the job, losing the title, but transitioning into a new daily existence that may have been pre planned, may not have been pre planned, or the plan that you had didn't come together the way that you thought, all sorts of things, right? Grief for routines that once structured our days, grief of identities that once anchored our sense of self, grief for versions of us that were strong, capable, and necessary, but no longer required in the same way. The grief of existing in a new way, in a new space of time, is a lot to handle. And here's the part that no one prepared us for. I took the retirement classes, I read the retirement books, but what nobody prepared us for is grief can exist even when the choice was right. All right, sit with that, won't you? Grief can exist even when the choice was right. Even when you know you would not have made a different choice, even though I know I would not have done anything differently. The choice was mine to make at the time, and it was the right choice for me. But even when the timing was right, grief present, even when freedom was desired. This series, Retirement Grief and the In Between, is not about staying in grief. Let's be clear. We're acknowledging that it even exists because there weren't a lot of places where I saw that it even did that. It's about understanding it and it being retirement grief, the in between season. So it doesn't quietly shape your next chapter without your consent, because we are in a posture of agency and ownership, right? This series is not about staying in grief. It's about understanding it so it doesn't quietly shape your next chapter without your consent. The in between isn't a problem to solve. It's not a problem to solve. It's a space of integration, a place where your whole life, all you've been, all you've carried, all you've accomplished is asking to be honored before you move forward. Wholeness, wholeness doesn't rush this space, this in between moment. It listens to it. Let me invite you into this gently. In the comments, answer this, no explaining required. What feels different in this season of your life? Different is enough. Just what feels different. And if you're walking through this in between too, subscribe, not because you need to be fixed. This is not about fixing, but because you deserve language for what you're experiencing. You deserve an acknowledgement of what's going on. And that is how we're going to honor and celebrate all that you've been, all that you've accomplished, all that you've carried and learned, and all your wisdom before you move forward. Just like we grieve anything else, and we have a ceremony where we come together and we have an opportunity to share about the individual that has transitioned. That's why I think a retirement celebration is important, because that ceremony is an opportunity to celebrate all that you are and all that you've been. And here's the thing, it's your celebration. So you invite who you want to invite. You have it where you want to have it. You do it in the way that you want to do it, whether it's a trip, a lunch, a dinner, something intimate and small with friends. Celebrate you. Celebrate the transition and the in between. Before we close, let me bless you. May you stop questioning your emotions just because your life looks fine on the outside. May you trust that grief can be a companion, not an enemy, when it's allowed to speak. May your faith remind you that wholeness includes every chapter. May your freedom give you permission to feel without judgment. May your flow teach you how to remain present in the middle. And may you remember this in between space is not wasted time, it's sacred ground. You know how I like to say midlife is not a crisis, it's our invitation to reinvention. We're still here, we're still rising, and we're making the next chapter our best one yet. Faith, freedom, flow, flourishing. This is 50 plus reinvented.